Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Hello? Huh? Oh! Hey, everyone. Yeah, it appears you clicked on our podcast link, so, that must mean you're here for our debut show. Well, that or you pulled one of my stunts and fat-thumbed the wrong link. Well, anyway, you're here now. Welcome to the T Squared Podcast. My name is Tom Duggin. You may or may not know me, and, quite frankly, you may be better off if you don't. But over the course of the weeks, months, and hopefully years we do this podcast, you will get to know a lot about me, my co-host and friend, Tony Luna, and all the guests we will be talking to during that time. We hope we say some things to make you laugh, make you think, make you cry. Okay, maybe not make you cry, but hopefully we will offer up plenty of interesting tidbits. Now, I wanted to take a moment to introduce the podcast on our first episode for a couple of reasons. First of all, having some type of podcast is something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I will admit it's taken a while to get here. See, I trust completely in God, and I've come to realize this had to take place in His time, not mine. While I've never been a super patient person, I know things are always better when God is in control. So now is finally the time. In the coming weeks, I will be unveiling a new website that will house this and hopefully several other podcasts, blogs, and entertainment resources. My hope and desire are to give back as much as I can to my community, my friends, family, and people I don't even know, along with offering a platform to help those who share the love of journalism, broadcasting, music, and other realms of entertainment that I've been blessed to be part of for many years now. I also wanted to explain what happened with this first episode you're about to listen to. Now, when Tony and I finally got together to work on the podcast for the first time, we decided it would be a good idea to do somewhat of a dress rehearsal or trial run, if you will, with no intention of really ever airing it. We needed to see how well we'd work together, how things would flow, and really just get an overall feel of doing a podcast. Now, after we bantered through our first segment, we literally walked out of Tony's office in downtown Smithville, our makeshift recording studio, and out onto Main Street. Now, there we invited a gentleman to come in and serve as our dress rehearsal guest. The result turned out to be a great interview with an extremely interesting individual whose backstory is nothing short of amazing. After he left, Tony and I finished out one last short segment, and we instantly knew this episode had to be shared. So here it is, warts and all, the very first episode of the T Squared Podcast. The episode that was not going to be, but just had to be. So we hope you enjoyed as much as we enjoyed recording it. And we want to thank Mr. Stephen Cantrell for being our inaugural guest. And we certainly plan on welcoming him back in the future to share more of his story. In closing, I want to sincerely thank our sponsors for coming on board with us right out of the gate. They are putting a lot of faith in us and this podcast, and we certainly can't thank them enough. So please do us a favor and take time to visit our sponsors. They are all local small business owners and just all around great people. It would mean the world to them and to us if you take a few moments just to stop by and check them out. And when you do, please let them know that you heard about them on the T Squared Podcast. Our title sponsor is Button Willow General Store. Button Willow came on board before Tony and I even had a date set to record a demo podcast. So to Joe, Angela, and their amazing crew, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. They have become one of the most beloved businesses in downtown Smithville, and for many good reasons. Our other sponsors include the Mail Room Boutique, run by Tony's better half, Summer Luna, the Lipstick Pig Barbecue, and On the River Grill, both owned and operated by my good friend Jeff Cawthorn. How Jeff manages to run two outstanding restaurants at once, it just absolutely amazes me. And Mad Nutrition with their brand new owners, Brittany Richards and Jennifer Hanna. I'll be talking at times during our podcast about my weight loss journey, and the outstanding healthy drinks at Mad Nutrition have been a big part of that journey. And finally, we also want to thank you, our listeners, those who have tuned in to hear the very first podcast. It may be a little rough around the edges in the beginning, but we'll get the hang of it, and it'll get better and better and better as time goes on. That we guarantee. We also welcome your feedback at any point in time. Feel free to email us. The email address is t2podcasttn@gmail.com. Again, t2podcasttn@gmail.com. Okay, let's take a moment to hear from our great sponsors, and then let's get started with episode 1 of the T Squared Podcast.
Button Willow General Store, located in historic downtown Smithville. The best coffee in Middle Tennessee. Go by and see Joe, Angela, and their outstanding staff. Order up one of their amazing drinks and check out the general store while you wait. Lots of unique and locally made products to choose from. Button Willow General Store. Be sure and tell them you heard all about them on the T Squared Podcast.
Hey folks, Tom Duggin from the T Squared Podcast here to tell you about two of my absolute favorite places to eat. The Lipstick Pig Barbecue in Smithville and On the River Grill in Rock Island. Stop by the Pig at 320 West Broad Street, Smithville for the best barbecue you'll find in this area. My buddy Jeff has everything from pulled pork to barbecue nachos and my personal favorite, their amazing loaded barbecue baked potato. Don't forget their tender, juicy, fall off the bone ribs that will have you calling in for seconds before you even finish the first rack. And if you're looking to eat a little healthier, they've got one of the best salad bars you'll find around. If you love the water and good food, you have to check out On the River Grill at Cotton's Marina in Rock Island. Try one of their delicious hand-patted real beef burgers, including everyone's favorite, the Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. They also have shrimp, cucumber boats, and plenty of other items, plus beer and plenty of soft drinks. You can even bring your own bottle of wine. On the River Grill is open this Memorial Day weekend, Friday from 4 until 9, Saturday 11 until 9, and Sunday 11 until 5. The Pig is open every Saturday through Wednesday from 11 until 5, and Thursday and Friday from 11 until 8. The Lipstick Pig Barbecue and On the River Grill, two of my favorites, and they'll be yours too once you try them. Stop by and tell them Tom from the T Squared Podcast sent you.
Everyone has heard of a boutique, but how about a brotique? The Mailroom Brotique, 102 West Main Street in downtown Smithville, is your go-to shop for all things masculine. The Mailroom prides themselves in offering high-quality and unique apparel, grooming products, and gifts. They also offer custom designs that are unique and cannot be found anywhere else. But what about the ladies? The Mailroom is excited to now offer women's apparel and gifts in addition to their full line of men's products. Visit the Mailroom in historic downtown Smithville or online at themailroomtn.com. We appreciate you shopping local.
Are you ready to supercharge your nutrition and energize your day? Visit Mad Nutrition at 417 East Broad Street in Smithville, your go-to destination for premium protein shakes, protein-packed snacks, and energy teas with essential vitamins. Whether you're powering through a workout or just need a pick-me-up, Mad has got you covered. Swing by Mad Nutrition today and taste the difference quality nutrition can make. Fuel your body, fuel your life. Mad Nutrition, your recipe for success. Call in your order ahead of time or send via text message at 615-684-8586. That's 615-684-8586. Mad Nutrition. Hey everybody, welcome into the T-Square Project. This is our first ever podcast, and joining me is Tony Luna. My name is Tom Duggin, and for the next however long we decide to sit here and talk, well, Tony, we're going to talk.
Well, until our butts go numb at least.
Well, yeah. But these stools are pretty comfy,
yeah,
so
nice.
not too bad.
Yeah.
So why another podcast? That's the first thing somebody's going to ask. Why another podcast? There's thousands, maybe even millions by this point. Well, because we can.
Yeah, that's right. Why not?
Why not? We have a lot to talk about. And the one thing, just to give a little backstory, my background, of course, being in media, Tony's background in real estate, and we've probably both been doing our own things for about the same amount of time, but we've come across a lot of interesting people over the years. And one thing we've discovered, there's always a story to tell.
Always a story to tell. And just like earlier today, we just ran in somewhere on the street that I thought, man, this would be a good guy to interview. We're going to catch him.
Now, there's going to be names that come through our podcast that you'll know, people that are somewhat well known, and then there's going to be names of folks you don't know. But, Tony, as you've learned, and I have too, there are a lot of people out there that we've never heard of. Mm-hmm. They've really got a great story, and
awesome story.
you learn a whole lot that way.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I like about real estate is really getting to know the people, and then end up being friends with them forever, just like Mr. Newton that we had known him for 25 years now.
Yeah.
Such an interesting guy, such an interesting story, but when you see him on the street, you would never guess.
So what makes our podcast different? I don't know if anything really makes it different. We're going to talk about different topics. You know, Tony and I are going to just bat around whatever's going on. We're not going to get too political. We're not going to go, I've got a background in sports. We'll touch on these things, but we're not going to deep dive into it. Just kind of our take on some things. But the biggest thing is getting the backstory of some very great people and interesting people.
I think it's going to be great doing it, too. I look so forward to doing this. And we have talked about this for several months, and I'm just excited to get started on it.
Yeah, I've been not that I've been dragging my feet, but it's one of those things. It's like okay, today don't work out. Tomorrow don't work out. So life gets us sometimes, and we're both very busy people. But this is going to be a fun podcast, and certainly we want feedback from the community. You know, there may be interesting people out there listening. A lot of times, people are too humble to say, "I'd like to be interviewed on a podcast." But if you know of someone that would be interesting for us to reach out to, we'd love that.
Oh, we'd love to do that stuff, and we'd love to have a list of people that we can get this done. I think it's just going to be fun.
All right, absolutely is going to be fun, and hopefully, you know, we're going to develop this into what we hope is eventually a website, just to kind of give you a little foresight into what my plan is, and we hope to have some blogs and really be kind of an entertainment hub, have some fun, more podcasts joining along the way as well, so we'll have more information about that once we kind of get the ball rolling there, but we don't just want to make this a one-off thing, but certainly we're going to have fun with what we do here during the course of this podcast. Hopefully we're going to be able to market this thing. Social media has gotten to be such a hot topic, it seems like, and I know this week in particular, TikTok has come under a lot of scrutiny, and a lot of people out there are already on TikTok. There are a lot of people that won't touch it because they're afraid of it, and we don't know where this is going to end up, Tony, but that's kind of a medium that's very polarizing right now.
Oh, definitely. They're saying it's the number one social media app currently, but the most of it is kids. Mm-hmm. And I saw a news report. It says where kids were calling congressmen and saying, "Don't take down my TikTok. I don't know what I'm going to do," and stuff. So I don't know where it's going to go. I've seen stories both ways where they're talking about it is definitely we're getting spied on, mm-hmm. and then the influencer stuff saying, "Oh no, we ain't getting spied on," stuff. And I think they'll end up working out a deal where it'll get sold to a European or an American company and it'll survive.
I almost feel like any social media platform, I don't want to go too strong to say you're getting spied on, but people are aware of it. And let me give you a good example of this. Just a few weeks ago, I'm looking to build a website, and I know nothing about building a website. I mean, I've got in mind kind of what I want, but I have no idea. So I go on Facebook and put a post out there, "Hey, anybody have any background in building websites?" Within the next hour, I have no contact info on my Facebook. First of all, no email, no phone number, nothing is public. Within the next hour, my Facebook Messenger's blowing up, messages all over my page. Telephone starts blowing up. Personal email. I even got stuff in my work email account. My sister is getting phone calls.
Wow.
And I'm like, wait a minute, how is this happening? So even though, we're focused on TikTok, Tony, I don't know that any of these social media platforms aren't being watched by, be it AI or whatever the case may be. We're being watched.
Absolutely. I totally 100% believe that. And one of the things, just another story just like that, and we talked about this earlier and stuff, when you see a post in one of these Facebook messages or Facebook posts that says, "Hey, looking for a realtor in the Cookville area," mm-hmm. Don't tag me in that, because 99% of the time that's some company over there trying to sell leads. It's just not a real person. Now, are they real people do that? Absolutely they are. But the majority, after 25 years doing this, they're not real.
Right.
So, don't tag me in that.
Yeah. Well,
unless it's your cousin and you met them, then you can.
I do some marketing for a local company now. That's my primary job. And even that, we'll boost posts and things, and you always are getting something back that's it's not a person.
Yeah.
It's something, that I know that. I've seen it enough, I guess. Now, a lot of people may not know that. And I'll use maybe my dad for a good example. Somebody that wasn't real savvy with social media or even the computer for that matter, and would get a pop-up and get that phone call. Hey, lock my computer up. This ad popped up talking about, something that interested him. And guess what happened?
Exactly.
He clicks on it. So you really got to be careful. And some people can, I think, easily see through some of that. some not so much.
Yeah.
You really got to be careful nowadays.
Yeah. Especially my business, we have to see through it and stuff. The good thing is, we have a home office in Alabama, and they filter a lot of that stuff before it ever gets to me. But sometimes it still does.
Right.
It's crazy. I just feel sorry for people that just happy-go-lucky and just click on everything because it's going to get you.
We're going to spend a little time again with our backgrounds, and Tony has talked about, of course, working in real estate, and as long as I've known you, I know you've been doing that. But where did that come from? What was what was it in your mind that got you interested in that realm?
Well, I was a single dad, had small kids and stuff, and I wanted my dad. Well, let me go back a little bit further than that. My dad was a workaholic. He just worked all the time and stuff. Great dad. Great provider and stuff, but I wasn't able to play sports and stuff as a kid because we had a farm and all that stuff. So when I had kids, I wanted to be the dad that coached t-ball, coach pitch, and stuff like that. And so I actually was just looking for a job that would give me a flexible schedule so I could do stuff for my kids and be there for my kids and stuff. And my dad said, "Hey, won't you get into real estate, see how that goes?" Went to school, and it just never looked back. So,
wow.
Yeah, April will be 25 years.
Wow.
25 years
now,
doing this, yeah.
Did you think on the front end of that at the time that this was going to be something you do for the rest of your life? Or did you think, okay, for now, this gives me that freedom of opportunity to spend with my kids?
No, not that at all. It's I'm the type of person, if I do something, I'm all in. So from day one, I thought, I'm going to do this forever. And I just never had any other mindset except for that.
Right.
I just knew on April 1st when I started, I knew I was going to do this forever.
April Fool's Day, and it wasn't a prank.
Right. It wasn't a prank. Yeah, it was not a prank.
Have there been those times where it was difficult, that the market was lean, and man, you just wondered?
Yeah. 07, 08 was horrible for the real estate market in general, but I survived to come out on top of that. And any seasoned agent come out on top of that, they're pretty good agents if they did.
What maybe any point in time did you think of throwing that white flag? That it got that difficult that you're like, I don't know if I can maintain this realm now?
Well, what was funny is I had my own company. They had my own real estate office in, and after crunching numbers, I figured out, why am I doing this when I could actually go work for somebody else and make the same amount of money? So that's what I did. I closed my company, worked for somebody else for a while, and when this market picked up, I had the opportunity to go with the company I'm with now, and been with these guys for 8 or 9 years now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You got a great area, by the way, to work in. Center Hill, and I know you got a great background. Of course, our podcast, anyone that don't know us and know our region, we are around the Center Hill Lake region of eastern Middle Tennessee, and you know the lake like the back of your hand. I've been on the lake with this guy, okay? And he's like, oh, over there's this and this and that and that. And I get out on the lake by myself, and if I've got GPS because I have no clue where I'm at, but that kind of helps you out a lot,
it
right?
Does. Yeah, well, I grew up at Sligo. My family owned Sligo for 30-something years, and then my dad was also in the heavy equipment business, so, we did some road building stuff, so I ended up learning it from both aspects, from the road and from the lake. So.
Yeah. Over the course of the 25 years, what's been the biggest change?
In real estate, what's the biggest change? Prices.
Yeah.
Just goodness, prices. 20 years ago, I wish I'd bought every lake lot I could find. And I got a good story about that, and I keep bringing up my dad because he was a big influence on me. But I listed this tract, gosh, it's been 15 years ago or longer, I guess. And when I went and pulled the tax card in the deed, it had my dad's name on it, that he had owned it at one time. So I called him and asked him about it. He said that he remembered that tract, that they had did some dozer work for a guy, and the guy didn't have any money, so he gave my dad this tract, and he turned around and sold the tract to get the money, and it was like $9,000.
Wow.
And I said, I just want to let you know I just sold it for $125,000.
Wow. You wish you had it back.
Yeah, for real.
So I know that's changed a lot. The influx of real estate agents in this particular area especially, and I know everybody sees the lake, you've got a great knowledge, I know, of the lake and the area. Not to say some of these other people don't, but how difficult is it to navigate maybe with the market so full of agents out there? And they're looking for the same carrot you are, basically.
They are. But the National Association of Realtors have shown that it's about 1% of real estate agents are really the ones that do 90% of the business. I mean, the other ones are just doing the scrap stuff. And the saddest part is you have companies that hire agents with no training. So this is not an industry where you're supposed to do on-the-job training by any means. So, an agent that's been doing it a month, brings a contract to me that's halfway done, then I'm ended up training somebody else's agent. And everybody says, oh, it's you get rich doing this. They don't understand the tens of thousands you put in it just to get started.
Yeah.
So it's not that way at all. So
It's a lot. You know, I remember looking at it at one time just as maybe a secondary type job. And like you say, you've been 100% on go. And that was the thing with me. I feel like if you're going to do it well, you really got to be 100% involved.
It's not a part-time gig.
Yeah.
You may pick up one here or there stuff, but if you really want to be successful, it's not a part-time gig.
Now, Tony and I have been friends for a long time. He met me back in my early radio days, and I actually started radio when I was 16, back 4 or 5 years ago. But, you know, and cut my teeth through media local and did a lot of that for a long time. But that's where you and I kind of connected because
right.
you were advertising. And
I would bring my girls in to do ads for real estate. And even prior to that, when I was in the car business, I would bring my girls in to do car ads. And gosh, you were just a young pup then, help recording these kids and help them write scripts and stuff.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
One other area we've connected has been music over the years. And you've been around shows I've done, and now I've been around shows you're doing because you're involved in a band and a great band. Let's talk about that because we both love music, obviously, and that's something everybody loves. But how'd you get involved in this band after all these years of loving music? Now you're part of it.
It just fell in my lap. Of course, Mercedes, my oldest daughter, she's always been in music and stuff. So I've been around these musicians stuff my whole life stuff. Well, she's got kids now. She's stay-at-home mom. She's kind of got out of the singing business and stuff. And one night we was over a friend of mine's house who was the drummer for Patty Loveless. He was Patty Loveless' first drummer, which is hilarious.
Wow.
And we were just a bunch of friends got together, we're just jamming and stuff. And we brought in another guy, guitar player from Nashville that had moved to Cookville. And we said, hey, y'all know this song? Yeah, I think I know that song. Yeah, I think I know that song. We played it, sung it. We got done. We was looking at each other and says, what the hell just happened? This was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like we had honestly had played together forever. And so the next song came up, and it was the same.
Yeah.
And then the next song came up, and it was the same. It was like, guys, we really got something here. The only problem with this band, and the band is Dramatic Endings is the name of the band, is all these musicians are in other bands. So this is their side girl, as we say, that we go play. So we don't get to play a whole lot of gigs together. I think we got 5 this coming year, you know. And so come see us for sure because we're a lot of fun.
Oh, gosh,
But it just kind of fell in our lap and stuff. And what was real fun is, so I was about 14, 15. I always had a harmonica in my pocket as a kid and stuff and played and stuff and just always piddled with it. And then life happens and you quit. And but we was playing an old ZZ Top song, and Mike Seiler, a guitar player, said, man, if we had a harmonica player going good right there. And I said, well, I've kind of dabbled in a little bit. I'll bring my set, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So next week we practiced, and I pulled it out and hit it perfect. And they're like, where the hell did that come from? So now I'm a harmonica player in a band, of all things. So.
Wow. And not many bands have harmonica players.
They don't.
In this area especially. And you do a great job with it. You do a little singing, too?
Do a little, very little singing. Very little singing. But, yeah, we do. I do a few songs and stuff for them and stuff. But mostly I do a little percussion and a little harmonica and stuff. And I'm the gig booker, and I have all the sound equipment, and so I just do a little bit of everything for this band.
So they got to have you.
They can't
get rid of
unless
you
they
now.
just want to do solely acoustic. They got to have me.
Yeah. Dramatic Endings, as he mentioned, is the band, and y'all do a little bit of everything. I mean, I've heard you do blues. I've heard you do rock. You probably throw a country song in and there, here and there.
A little bit, but mostly we pride ourselves, and that's how we promote it. We do a lot of the B-side tunes.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear a song, you say, golly, I ain't heard that song in for years. And that's us. That's what we've done.
What's a song maybe that always people have that light bulb moment? Oh, my gosh.
Fog Hat, I Just Want to Make Love to You.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's heard that song in years. And we did it at the Sparta Fair, and it just rocked the house. It was just so much fun to do. But there's a song, oh gosh, it just slipped my mind. The one you do all the time, Spain.
Never been to Spain.
Never been to Spain. We do the 3 Dawn Night version, Never Been to Spain stuff, and it just always kills it.
Love that song. I always love singing that. My voice has got to the point now that one's no.
Yeah.
You've got to gear it down about 2 octaves, but that's a fun song. And like you say, I remember doing that in shows and or even a karaoke. People look like, oh man, I love that song. And so many bands out there. I'm not knocking bands because I love bands, but I like going to hear you guys and bands like you that do play those songs that everybody else is not doing.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to hear Freebird again.
That's right. Yeah, we don't do Freebird. For $100, we'll do Freebird. But we do 2 Dire Straits songs.
Yeah.
Who does that? Nobody does that.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun, though. We just have a blast with it.
Some great stuff for sure. So,
but I hear you're back singing.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, they had Elvis night down here on the first Friday, and I heard you killed. I was in Washington D.C. and missed the show, but people are still talking about it. So you must have killed it.
Well, I tell you the truth, it's been 7 years since I've been on stage, and
I was there for that.
Yeah, you were there for that. And I battled some issues, vocal cord issues, and I don't know that it's physical as much as maybe it got to be a mental block for me, and I sort of just. And I got burnt out at the same time, because we'd done some big production shows. And just some backstory, it's been about 10 years ago now, a good friend of mine, Tim Caldwell, good friend of ours, had hooked us up with Elvis Presley's 70s touring group, the Stamps Quartet. And we put this show together, and I got to do the Elvis part. Didn't dress up, don't do the sideburns, can't grow any. Yeah. Don't look like Elvis. But, we did the show and did it again a couple of years later. And
it was sold out shows.
Sold out.
Just done.
Yeah.
We're talking about 400 people at a show, sold out shows.
Yeah. Well, you talk about nervous. Woo-hoo. Get about but it was so much fun, and we really enjoyed it. And you were there. You did a little everything, from running sound to taking pictures to, everything. And so yeah, but after a while, I kind of got burnt out because it was such a big production show and a lot of rehearsal and a lot of time, and it was fun. But it got to be work a little bit. And and again, with the vocal stuff, it all just sort of built up, and I just got away from it. So, Cheryl's Bo Bees, nice little cafe downtown Smithville, called and was doing a first Friday event for Elvis's birthday. And I sort of hesitated because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been so long. But, I kind of had to itch a little bit. Well, of course, I agreed to do it, and then I got sick for about 3 weeks. And I always get a head cold around, wintertime. And
that time of year.
Didn't get to rehearse. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, but it was fun, and the people always make it fun because they come and they know all these songs and they sing along, so you can kind of just mumble, let them do all the work. But yeah, I'm doing a little bit now, and I've missed it. But boy, as you get older, your voice just ain't the same.
No, it's definitely not. I think mine for the stuff we sing. I think mine has gotten better. Because of the, I do some Allman Brothers and some stuff like that, and it fits that genre better. So.
Yeah.
But what's funny about me in music, I would never dream that I would have been in a band. And what happened was when COVID was running rampant and stuff, me and Summer, my wife, both got it pretty bad. Mm-hmm. I was down about 45 days, and she was down, 50-something days.
I remember that, yeah.
And I feel like now she still has some long COVID issues, but I feel like I come out of it better, and it kind of woke me up to saying, okay, I was 50-ish, and I thought I was going to live forever, and I'm not going to live forever. So that kind of kick-started me into doing things that I've always wanted to do, was either too scared to do or just didn't do or didn't make time for, and now I do.
Right.
So now I play in a band because I always wanted to do it. I lived through that with my daughter, vicariously through her because she did it and stuff. But now I'm leading a band. I decided I want to do more for my county and city and stuff, so I ran for county commission and won. Loving that, even though we're having a hard time, with this jail situation, school situation, still loving the politics.
Yeah.
I never would have thought I'd done that, and I absolutely love it. I love being part of this downtown, how we've redone downtown.
Oh, yeah,
and,
beautiful.
John Anderson Alley. Now we've got Aaron Tippin Alley coming in, which is killer and stuff. I love that I've kind of been a lead in that. Taking the back seat now, thank goodness, because it's kind of took a life of its own, which is awesome. But I'm doing all this stuff that I wanted to do, but didn't feel like I had time to do it or was scared to do. But that just woke me up to where, hey, I'm doing all this.
Yeah.
I just want to do everything.
You always had a love for your county, your hometown.
Oh, absolutely.
It was always there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to brag on this guy because he won't brag on himself, but the changes to downtown Smithville, if you're ever in Middle Tennessee and you don't come to Smithville, you're missing out. This thing was a ghost town not so long ago. It was a ghost town. Run down old buildings. Everybody was moving out of downtown, going to other places, And now we've got this niche of a little artistic, different little shops and cafes, and And man, it's just the whole vibe is different. And I know you and Summer, you've been a big part of that because you were local, and I know you had the heart for it. Mm-hmm. But you've got the right people involved.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this thing is it's taking off, and it's just like today. It's a beautiful sunny Saturday, and it's downtown is full. And
not a parking place anywhere.
10 years ago, there wasn't a soul here.
Yeah, it did look like a ghost town. And what really happened is, the coffee shop came in, and it was a small coffee shop thrift store, and then they ended up doing more of a bigger coffee shop. That ended up being a killer anchor store for us to work around. Mm-hmm. And then I bought a building, moved my real estate office downtown and stuff. And then during COVID, I had this crazy idea. I was, standing on the, not standing on the corner, but I was standing on the sidewalk. And,
in Winslow, Arizona.
Yeah, that's right. And I was seeing people go in the coffee shop carrying coffee, and the women was going into a couple, I think we had 2 boutiques going in boutiques, and the guys were standing around just kind of lost. And I told Summer, I said, man, we need to have a store that's geared just for souvenir type guy stuff, fun stuff.
Right.
Now we got Fluties, who's been in business for 50 years, that does great on that stuff.
Sure.
But we wanted something just totally the opposite of what he had. Mm-hmm. And she was working full time from home for a company, and it's like 6 weeks later or so, it might even been sooner than that. Her company had a company call, and they said, we're eliminating not just you, but we're eliminating your whole department.
Oh wow!
So she was fixing to be out of work. And so we was riding at 11, and I said, I think we really need to do this. Mm-hmm. We need to do this guy store. And we just ride. She said, what would you name it? I said, how about the mail room? And we'll call it a brotique instead of a boutique. And it just took a life of its own.
It has.
And 3 years. May will be 3 years that we've been in business over there. And we're kind of like the second or third anchor store in downtown Smithville.
Wow.
It's kind of, people come to Button Willow because they have so much stuff. And it's kind of a destination. Well, we've become our own destination, and so we have people that come just for the store. And it's small, man. We've got 600 square feet, but Summer's so good at keeping it packed full of stuff. And get back to downtown, we have a merchant association that we get together, and we make sure that we're not carrying the same stuff. Mm-hmm. So every store has something different.
That's awesome.
And it's so much fun. It really, we're having a blast with it. But it still amazes me how local people will come in and say, wow, we didn't have no idea there was a downtown.
Yeah.
So the 90% of the business is tourism and stuff, but man, we're really making tracks and making waves on getting local business back downtown, and it's so much fun.
I have so much fun nowadays when I see a social media post or hear someone say, there's nothing downtown.
Yeah,
there's
nothing
down.
to do.
Have you not been downtown lately? I mean, wake up. I mean, there's so many neat places that, and listen, I'm going to just put it out there. Center Hill Lake has drawn people for years and years and years.
Millions of people.
Yes, and a lot of those people went to Cookeville.
That's right.
I mean, they wanted to eat. They went to Cookeville. They want to shop. They went to Cookeville. Guess where they're going now?
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a smaller
Smithville.
atmosphere, and there's something for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. We have 4 restaurants right here on the square.
Yeah.
4 restaurants right here on the square. Who would have thought we'd had 4 restaurants on the square?
Yep.
Cheryl's, great cafe. We have Cafe Healthy. I don't know if you've been there or not. Cool stuff, all healthy type stuff. And I love the ish part in healthy ish because she has some of the best muffins I've ever eaten. We've got a killer pizza place. Todd went to New York for weeks to learn how to make New York style pizza.
Uh-huh.
And it's amazing. His
It
pizzas
is.
are amazing.
They are.
And then we have Aces. Some of the best food you'll ever eat.
Oh.
And I still hear people, I don't want to go because it's you got to have a reservation. It's worth getting a reservation.
Yes.
His food is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm already hungry. I haven't eaten today, and I'm sitting here thinking about, the surf and turf is one of my favorites.
Oh God, it's so good.
The mahi is to die for. It's just oh my gosh, yeah.
I like get the filet rare, but get it Pittsburgh style. But if you'll order it Tony style, he'll know what it is. So he has a flame grill, which he charges it on both sides.
Yeah.
Best steak you've ever eaten.
Oh, it's just
so
amazing.
good.
Amazing. All the places are amazing downtown, though, like you mentioned, in variety, if that's.
Yeah, everything's different. Yeah, everything's different.
You mentioned Button Willow. We want to thank them. They are actually our first sponsor of our podcast. So Button Willow is located right on Main Street, downtown Smithville, right next door to the mailroom. Y'all have kind of a sign war
We
thing.
do have a time we're going. We have a lot of fun. That's been going on over a year now.
Who started that?
I think I probably may have instigated
I would never have thought that.
No, not at all. But we have a lot of fun with it stuff. And we have people say, man, do you really not like those guys? I said, no, it's all in good fun is what it is. Me and Joe, we're like best buds now. and all the girls work there. They're just amazing worker stuff, and always smiling and ready to help people. But the sign war is just for fun, but it does get a lot of attention for sure.
I'm starting in my older age to appreciate coffee more, drink it a little bit more, but I would go in Button Willow just to smell the drinks. It's amazing.
You know, they roast their own coffee.
Yeah.
They do it all in the back, and they've even had the fire department called on them twice where the smoke's coming out of the back of the building. It's so funny. It kind of reminds me of my house when summer's cooking. But it's we've never had the fire department call, but it does put a wild, smoky coffee bean flavor in the air down here, which is cool. Yeah.
So be sure to go by Button Willow, say hi to Joe and Angela and all their staff down there, and the drinks are phenomenal. Again, I go there frequently now because if I put enough sweet stuff in it, I can drink it. But I love the smell of coffee, and they've got not just coffee, they've got all kinds of merchandise in there, local-based merchandise in there as well. We appreciate Button Willow being our debut sponsor. All right, our special guest is coming up, episode 1, the T-Square podcast. We'll be back.
Button Willow General Store, located in historic downtown Smithville, the best coffee in Middle Tennessee. Go by and see Joe, Angela, and their outstanding staff. Order up one of their amazing drinks and check out the general store while you wait. Lots of unique and locally made products to choose from. Button Willow General Store. Be sure and tell them you heard all about them on the T-Squared podcast.
Hey folks, Tom Duggin from the T-Squared podcast here to tell you about 2 of my absolute favorite places to eat. The Lipstick Pig Barbecue in Smithville and On the River Grill in Rock Island. Stop by the Pig at 320 West Broad Street, Smithville for the best barbecue you'll find in this area. My buddy Jeff has everything from pulled pork to barbecue nachos, and my personal favorite, their amazing loaded barbecue baked potato. Don't forget their tender, juicy, fall-off-the-bone ribs that will have you calling in for seconds before you even finish the first rack. And if you're looking to eat a little healthier, they've got one of the best salad bars you'll find around. If you love the water and good food, you have to check out On the River Grill at Cotton's Marina in Rock Island. Try one of their delicious hand-patted real beef burgers, including everyone's favorite, the Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. They also have shrimp, cucumber boats, and plenty of other items, plus beer and plenty of soft drinks. You can even bring your own bottle of wine. On the River Grill is open this Memorial Day weekend, Friday from 4 until 9, Saturday 11 until 9, and Sunday 11 until 5. The Pig is open every Saturday through Wednesday from 11 until 5, and Thursday and Friday from 11 until 8. The Lipstick Pig Barbecue and On the River Grill, 2 of my favorites, and they'll be yours too once you try them. Stop by and tell them Tom from the T-Squared podcast sent you.
Everyone has heard of a boutique, but how about a brotique? The Mailroom Brotique, 102 West Main Street in downtown Smithville, is your go-to shop for all things masculine. The Mailroom prides themselves in offering high-quality and unique apparel, grooming products, and gifts. They also offer custom designs that are unique and cannot be found anywhere else. But what about the ladies? The Mailroom is excited to now offer women's apparel and gifts in addition to their full line of men's products. Visit the Mailroom in historic downtown Smithville or online at themailroomtn.com. We appreciate you shopping local.
Are you ready to supercharge your nutrition and energize your day? Visit Mad Nutrition at 417 East Broad Street in Smithville, your go-to destination for premium protein shakes, protein-packed snacks, and energy teas with essential vitamins. Whether you're powering through a workout or just need a pick-me-up, Mad has got you covered. Swing by Mad Nutrition today and taste the difference quality nutrition can make. Fuel your body, fuel your life. Mad Nutrition, your recipe for success. Call in your order ahead of time or send via text message at 615-684-8586. That's 615-684-8586. Mad Nutrition. We're back here on the T-Square podcast, Tom, Tony, and our first ever guest, and we literally brought him in off the street, Tony.
That's what he gets for walking through the alley.
So that's how prepared we were today. We just walked outside and grabbed a guest and brought him in. His name is Stephen. We'd call it Cantrell. He says it's Cantrell.
He's right. You're wrong.
I've heard it both ways, but what's the difference?
Well, actually, there's 3 ways. And the third way is you've got Cantrell, which is what my grandfather went by, Cantrell, which my dad went by, and then there are a few people here in Smithville that go by Cantrell.
Okay. That's when you take all the vowels out of the name itself and just say the consonants.
Unless you're in France, where a Frenchman corrected me and said it was Cantrell. So
okay. Okay.
So you got 4.
I took French in school.
So which are you?
I'm a Cantrell.
Cantrell.
Unless somebody can't pronounce it, then I'm a Cantrell.
You had a good story. We were actually talking before we went on the air about back in school that the mispronunciation almost kept you out of trouble.
I'm lost on that one. Well, no, what happened was, not that I'd really done anything wrong, but I was going to DCHS. I went to school here 2 years, and an announcement came over the speaker, and I was in Tommy Webb's German class, and the request was for Stephen Cantrell to come to the office. And I was in Tommy's class, and he said, "Steve, you better go." And I said, "Nope, I'm a Cantrell." So a little while later, Mr. Schneider, a.k.a. Mole Digger, came on and said, "Will the other Stephen Cantrell come to the office?" And Tommy looked at me and he said, "That must be you." So I did.
This guy, and again, when I say we pulled him off the street, I'm just first of all found out I'm related to him, which you know that figures. Tommy Webb had been here; he would have told us exactly how we're probably all related.
Yeah, he'd pull out the family tree.
Yeah, he would know all that stuff. But you got an interesting backstory, and I'm not going to I'm going to let you jump in on this because you just moved back to DeKalb County recently, but you've been all over the world, and I don't want to give any secrets away, but give us a little bit of that background and how you ended up back here.
Well, I was an Army brat, and the issue with Army brats is you go wherever the Army sends your dad.
All right.
And so, skipping the fact that I was born I missed being born in Texas by 12 days because they had moved the advanced helicopter school that my dad went to Camp, now Fort Rucker, Alabama. And then we moved a few other places, then Germany. And then by the time I was 5, I was going to kindergarten in New Jersey. And then the next 6 years was spent in Texas. Mm-hmm. And from Texas, we went to Washington, D.C. for 2 years. And then my dad was going to Korea, so my mom said we're going to move back to Smithville. So I came here, spent freshman and sophomore year of high school here. Then we got transferred to Fort Knox, and I attended a school reunion here, and one guy thought I had joined the Army. I had to explain, no, I just went with my dad. He was the one who was in the Army. But went to Fort Knox High School, and then my Joel Evans nominated me for the Air Force Academy. And unfortunately, my SAT, it was a little tight that year, so they told me I could go to prep school. I said 5 years of college wasn't, in the cards for me, so I put an application into the University of Kentucky. But of course, since I was also a Tennessee resident, I could have gone to UT. But since family was moving to Lexington, I opted for that. Went to UK, met my wife there, and then when I graduated, spent the next 22 and a half years with the Air Force, going all over the world, and to include some of the folks here wrote me a lot of letters for Desert Storm, at which point I was working for General Schwarzkopf, as his travel coordinator. And then I've had command of a unit over in Korea, and then came back, and my wife's father got hit with that terrible disease called Alzheimer's. So we made a decision, and I opted to get out of the Air Force and turned down a promotion. And so I hung up the uniform on a Friday, and on Monday walked in and was Deputy Assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Intelligence Oversight, which put another way is I was an Inspector General for Intelligence, DOD, or Department of Defense intelligence organizations around the world. Did that for 5 years, and then did a bunch of other assignments. Agency, I was Director of the Air Force Intelligence Analysis Agency. Worked for the Director of National Intelligence on loan from the Air Force. Worked for an organization called the Civil Aviation Intelligence Analysis Center, where we tracked safety threats and terrorist threats to aviation around the world. And then did a few other things, but my last assignment was I was the Deputy National Intelligence Manager for Aviation, which again was looking at threats, but the most unique thing we did was one of the last products that we produced before I retired from the government was we produced the first unknown aerial phenomena, also known as UFO, the first report. And so that was the last thing I did. And then It's taken me about a year and a half to get down here, and we got here on the 14th of January, driving my last U-Haul during the snowstorm through Knoxville.
Perfect timing.
Down the 4-mile ride from the plateau and pulling into Smithville. So that's it in a nutshell, but building a house out on the Johnson Ridge and really looking forward to getting really involved with things here. I've already got involved thanks to Suzanne Williams and others with the tourism committee. I've already gotten involved with that. Looking forward to working to do whatever I can to help people that have never experienced DeKalb County and Smithville to, learn about what a great secret we have here.
Was the military always in the cards, being, as you put it, a military brat? Was that always going to be in the cards for you?
No. My high school class, class 73, we were the first class that did not get drafted. Mm-hmm. We had the draft numbers, but we didn't get drafted. And I had no interest in the military at all. I was not going to go in the military. But while I was in college, I had switched majors around and switched back to political science. And then as I was getting closer to graduation, I was about a year and a half out, and also looking at the fact that I was getting ready to marry my soulmate, I started looking about what I could do. And so after a lot of thought and stuff, I was originally thinking about going into the Army, but I'd taken Air Force ROTC my first 2 years, and when the Air Force ROTC guy found out that the Army was getting ready to grab me, he grabbed me instead, and that's how I got in the Air Force. But I was just going to do about, the minimum 4 years with the Air Force, and then I discovered something really neat about the Air Force, which a lot of military people do. It's a environment where, if you're lucky, you get to experience true selflessness with the men and women that you've been assigned to. As a young lieutenant, I had the honor of some fantastic sergeants who mentored this, at that time, young lieutenant. And then throughout my career, very few people that would have, that I had negative thoughts about. I was just blessed to be around a lot of people who, were working for the country and doing great things. So I had the honor of serving, and I had the truly honor and privilege of serving with some incredibly great people.
Of course, working in intelligence, there are things we can't ask, or he'll have to kill us, Tony.
Yeah, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there now.
Well, actually, after talking to both of you, I realized the problem is, there's intelligence and intelligent, and I think it's the latter one that sort of restricts me from talking to both of you.
Well, when we're talking intelligence with Tony and I don't know if it fits anyway, but
it ends up being like 6th grade level.
Yeah. So
one of the cool stories he shared with me a month or so ago is he was actually near the Pentagon during 9/11. Is this true?
Well,
Did I get that right?
Well, sort of. I was getting ready to go to a meeting at the Pentagon. I was working for the Secretary of Defense, and our office was actually near Dulles Airport. Got a phone call telling me that there was something going on in New York. We turned the TV on, saw what was going on. My boss looked at me and he said, "Well, what's unusual about a plane, flying into a building that happened, back in the 40s?" I said, "Yeah, but that was a fog storm or fog and clouds and rain." I said, "But it's a clear day out there." And I said, I'm really concerned we're getting ready to go into something else. He said, "What do you mean?" And I saw the second plane hit, and I said, "We're at war." And for those of us that have been involved in, looking at terrorism for a long time, I saw the signs. And then, so we're sitting again, like I said, near Dulles Airport, and we see one solitary plane flying by at treetop level, and that's the plane that hit the Pentagon.
Wow.
Had I been, if my friend had not stopped me on my way, I've probably been around where the plane hit the Pentagon. But unfortunately, I'd been talking to a friend the day before, or tried to talk. He tried to talk to me, but one of my guys was talking to me, and he finally just waved and said, "I'll catch you later." And unfortunately, my friend was on that flight. He was going out to Monterey, and for a while, they actually were counting him as twice. But one of the things that I told Tony is, the one blessing that happened out of all of that, and it was terrible that the plane went into the Pentagon, but it hit the Pentagon where the Pentagon had just been renovated, and it was the only part of the Pentagon that had steel reinforcement, had fire doors, the new fire systems for suppression, and although I lost a few friends in that, we were if it had not hit that part of the Pentagon but someplace else, that building would have been gone.
From a personal and from the standpoint of your profession at that time, what What were the emotions? What was it like at that time?
Well, one thing that happened was, I was regretting I wasn't in uniform because, you sit there and you're ready to go. Mm-hmm. Just like a lot of very patriotic young men and women sat down and volunteered for the military at that time frame. It was just we're at war. How dare they attack us? How dare they attack us in our country? Because we'd been attacked before. Mm-hmm. And it was just, we got to do whatever it is to take care of them. And in fact, I had gone to my boss and I said, if there's an opportunity for me to go back, or if they want to call me back to active duty, I said, I'm not going to hesitate. He said, well, we need you here. And I said, well, I think I'm needed elsewhere. But I didn't get that call. But during that time frame, I did inspect intelligence organizations that were involved in that and made sure we were doing things correctly. Or in some cases, if we weren't, documented those and got them corrected.
We're speaking to Stephen Cantrell, who's sharing some of his background of his life, and we're talking a little bit about 9/11. You mentioned kind of seeing some telltale signs. What were some things maybe that if you can talk about it, I know there are a lot of things that are probably sensitive you're not able to talk about, but some things that maybe were forerunners that you noticed that maybe you saw this coming, maybe not to the scale that it was, but you knew something was going to happen.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that was the second attack. The first attack was around 91, 92, and some of the same players, mm-hmm. and that's when they were going after New York, and they actually, you can read about this, but they were going in and they had bombs go off, and where they exploded on the ground, they almost took out a trunk line, which would have taken out all of the lines that handled the financial institutions in the United States. So that would have really brought this country into a standstill.
Was that the same building? Was that same?
In that same,
Yeah.
It wasn't the exact same target. This was near Wall Street, in that area. But, so this was their second attempt at an attack.
Unbelievable. So
it's one of those life events you always remember where you was. Obviously I wasn't in the military stuff, but I was selling real estate at the time, and I remember after seeing the second plane, I immediately went and got my kids. I said, something's going on. Checked them out of school, went home, and just could not get enough of TV watching what was going on.
Well, that's an interesting comment, because what was going on in the D.C. area is kids knew their parents were at the Pentagon. They were finding out that something had happened, but the schools were just sort of going into a lockdown mode, so parents weren't able to get information to their kids. I can still remember when I finally drove home, my son was sitting there with sort of a semi-shocked look on his face as he smiled as he saw me come in. I'd already called back here. My mom had been resting, and I got in touch with my dad, and I said, hey, just want to let you know this has happened. It's all over the news. Pentagon has been hit, but I'm not at the Pentagon, so I'm doing well. My mom got up, walked through the living room. My dad was in another part of the house, and all she saw was the Pentagon on fire, and, started going, best way to, as any of us would do, into semi-shock of what's happened. And my dad, explained what was going on. But even my younger brother, who's no longer with us, he saw it, and he called my dad because he said, what's going on? Just like a lot of parents did. And especially, I focus on the Pentagon, but I've met so many people that had a connection to the World Trade Towers. Mm-hmm. And so, we just forget about it. And what's a real shame, but in another way it's good, is the shame is that people are looking at this as ancient history now. You have so many kids that have been born since that occurred, just like so many kids were born after World War II, mm-hmm. Et cetera, Vietnam, Desert Storm, you just name it, and, you forget it. It's not in front of you. I mean, I can remember vividly the day JFK was shot. But that's the challenge we have now is the young men and women in this country have not experienced that or seen something like that happen. So the only thing they know is that we had brothers and sisters, moms and dads that were, have been in the desert or Afghanistan for years and didn't understand really what that was all about.
23 years. I mean, almost this September will be 23 years. And it's just, you think a whole generation has come along. We all vividly remember that day, obviously, but 23 years have passed. We had that strong sense of unity at that time. And just kind of fast forwarding, I guess, to today, do you think we learned enough from that incident itself that we're better prepared for something? Should that ever occur again?
I think the best way to describe that is we've got a lot of people that are watching and that are trying to take the pulse on what's going on around the world. A lot of young men and women. The part that I can address, because I don't know the answer to, is how well equipped those young men and women are. We have budget cuts that go on all the time, but the big challenge with the intelligence community is that's not something that's public. So we don't know how healthy we are. And sometimes when we hear, politicians or others saying we're not healthy, the problem is unless we can see it and understand it, we don't understand. When the military, for example, gets a budget and people are sitting there going, what's that got to do with me? They sometimes forget about the fact that, and I'll use World War II, if we had not gotten involved in World War II and, Hitler had been successful, because he wouldn't have been if we hadn't gotten involved, then, would we be speaking German today?
Right.
It would be a completely different world, but there was a lot of sacrifice made. And what's unfortunate is, the fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers that fought that war, the same great-grandfathers and fathers, et cetera, and mothers and grandmothers, et cetera, that were involved in in doing the machinery and building the planes, et cetera. That's all ancient history, and people don't understand what a massive effort was done in the investment of the future of this country at that time, and how we all got together. Unfortunately, we've gotten back to an us and them type mentality, and we're talking about our fellow Americans.
Stephen Cantrell joining us on the T-Squared podcast, Cantrell. I'm going to say it wrong every time.
I'll put him next to you so he can put you in a mouth.
Yeah, I know. It's ingrained in there. Get back, and we'll get away from 9/11. Other aspects of your career, moments that stand out that you can talk about, the things that really stand out from your time working in intelligence or in the military, for that matter.
Well, I'd say the biggest thing that really struck me in the military is, one thing is you walk in, unlike in civilian life, you walk into a new unit or whatever that uniform with the rank on it, people assume that you have the experience. Nobody questions your background and experience. That uniform and the rank that you're wearing automatically gives you certain credibility. If you go in the civilian environment, when you walk in through the door, everybody's going, who's this guy and why is he here to take my job?
Right.
And then the other thing is, the one thing we do in the military is we work very hard to train those coming behind us to take over. So when we leave, we may be in a job for 3 years, but there's someone coming in right behind us, and we're responsible for making sure that they're ready to go. Or like when I was commander in Korea 2 years, I had one group of individuals, about 200, that worked for me for about a year. Then they left. And then I had another crew come in, and we had to get them up to speed on what to do, understanding the indications and warning challenges of North Korea, understanding the threat, and where all the people that worked with my counterparts on the base, they were training in the eventuality of war. And one of the guys said, why don't you guys participate in the local exercises? And I said, what do you mean? Well, you guys, are getting these passes where they go straight to work, as opposed to pretending they're under attack and have to jump in foxholes and everything else. And I said, you don't seem to understand. We're the ones that are at war right now because we're watching what our counterparts across the DMZ are doing. So we're the ones that are standing by to help you know that it's time. The balloon's going to go up and war is going to occur. So we have people all around the world that are doing that and looking at indications and warning. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's transparent. They don't realize that that's going on. We have people in the United States that are doing it, people in the Air National Guard that are doing it, for example. And people are thinking, no, Johnny's just going over the National Guard unit, whereas, in fact, Johnny or Jane are actually going over there and they're doing a mission that may be looking at someplace else in the world.
Fantastic. Just a remarkable career, certainly. I know we could ask questions, so we're going to have him back.
Yeah, we could do part two. But I do have a great question for you. You've been all over the world, and I heard that you stayed like a month in Mars. What's your favorite place you've ever been?
That's a trick question, and the reason it's a trick question, every place I've been, I've enjoyed. Well, with one exception. When I went into Somalia and saw, the aftermath of famine in Ethiopia, elsewhere, that, it was good to see the people that were working to address that issue. But seeing the children that had been starving and seeing graves, mass graves, that's one end of the spectrum that I didn't care for. But I don't think there's been any place in the world that I haven't enjoyed. But and I don't say this because I'm here in Smithville, but Smithville has always been sort of magic to me because this was the magical place both my grandfathers, and every year we looked forward to the 2 weeks that we would come down here and I get to spend time with my grandfathers, learning how to drive a tractor. Memories, not necessarily the best memories, but memories of stripping tobacco and putting leaves on wires, or trying to figure out why my hands were turning black. But at the same time, having an appreciation for the hard work that the farmers did, or more so, especially with tobacco, watching the hard work that tobacco farmers' families did, because the husbands, wives, and kids would be out there. And I think I'm thankful that my grandfather John Calvert exposed me to that, because I wouldn't have had that experience. But no, Smithville has always been magic, and that's why my goal has always been to return here, and it's been a dream. My father and my brother, Todd's the one that owns Singer's Landing, but they had a bet going on. They wouldn't tell me which one said it, but one bet that I wouldn't come back here, and the other one said I would. So unfortunately, I've returned after both my parents, unfortunately, have passed on to be with Christ, and God. But with that said, I'm excited about being back here. In fact, so much so that when my sister-in-law was up here from Katy, Texas, with her husband, they fell in love with the area, and so they're over by Doyle. And then we're going to be picking up my mother-in-law from Florida and bringing her up here within the next 2 months, probably.
Nice.
What's the biggest change maybe you've seen in this area from the time you were younger and here to now? And I know you mentioned agriculture, and I know there's probably been a big change there, but is that the biggest, or have you seen other?
No, I've been looking at the Smithville Review since I was about 6 years old, and I've had a connection to Smithville and the government and everything else since I was very young. When my dad passed away, I was surprised to see that he had become mayor 50 years after my grandfather John Calvert was mayor. And so it's kind of interesting finding that out. But no, what I've seen is downtown Smithville change, going from a very robust environment where you had a drugstore down here and you had competing dime stores, and you had the drugstore, Webb's drugstore, where it actually had the old soda fountain and everything else, to where now we're just getting businesses back here. There's some good things that have happened. For example, Walmart, it's great for folks that they can go and buy stuff. But the challenge is that we've gotten away from the community, I think, in many ways that you would have when you go downtown and you'd see friends and you'd shop, where now if you're at Walmart, you might see somebody you know. Mm-hmm. And that camaraderie is not there. And the other thing, I spoke to a few government classes a few years ago, and I found a common theme with a number of the students. They couldn't wait to get out of here. And I made the comment to them. I said, I understand where you're coming from, but what you don't know is what a treasure you have here right now. And that you'll understand that someday. But yeah, go learn, get an education or a career, whatever you want. But someday you're going to find out why there are a lot of people from outside Smithville and DeKalb County that want to move here.
Mm-hmm. And Tony, I think you see that appreciation for a lot of people, but sometimes I think local people have been here all their lives. They take that for granted. And
absolutely, they do.
Once you go away and you come back, it's a whole different story. We didn't even talk about UFOs.
That's part two.
That's part two. We'll have to save that for another time. Stephen Cantrell's been our guest on the T-Square podcast. Our first guest, and literally off the street. Stephen, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Button Willow General Store, located in historic downtown Smithville, the best coffee in Middle Tennessee. Go by and see Joe, Angela, and their outstanding staff. Order up one of their amazing drinks and check out the general store while you wait. Lots of unique and locally made products to choose from. Button Willow General Store. Be sure and tell them you heard all about them on the T-Squared podcast.
Hey folks, Tom Duggin from the T-Squared podcast here to tell you about two of my absolute favorite places to eat. The Lipstick Pig Barbecue in Smithville Smithville, and On the River Grill in Rock Island. Stop by the Pig at 320 West Broad Street, Smithville for the best barbecue you'll find in this area. My buddy Jeff has everything from pulled pork to barbecue nachos, and my personal favorite, their amazing loaded barbecue baked potato. Don't forget their tender, juicy, fall-off-the-bone ribs that will have you calling in for seconds before you even finish the first rack. And if you're looking to eat a little healthier, they've got one of the best salad bars you'll find around. If you love the water and good food, you have to check out On the River Grill at Cotton's Marina in Rock Island. Try one of their delicious hand-patted real beef burgers, including everyone's favorite, the bourbon bacon cheeseburger. They also have shrimp, cucumber boats, and plenty of other items, plus beer and plenty of soft drinks. You can even bring your own bottle of wine. On the River Grill is open this Memorial Day weekend, Friday from 4 until 9, Saturday 11 until 9, and Sunday 11 until 5. The Pig is open every Saturday through Wednesday from 11 until 5, and Thursday and Friday from 11 until 8. The Lipstick Pig Barbecue and On the River Grill, two of my favorites, and they'll be yours too once you try them. Stop by and tell them Tom from the T-Squared Podcast sent you.
Everyone has heard of a boutique, but how about a brotique? The Mailroom Brotique, 102 West Main Street in downtown Smithville, is your go-to shop for all things masculine. The Mailroom prides themselves in offering high-quality and unique apparel, grooming products, and gifts. They also offer custom designs that are unique and cannot be found anywhere else. But what about the ladies? The Mailroom is excited to now offer women's apparel and gifts in addition to their full line of men's products. Visit the Mailroom in historic downtown Smithville or online at themailroomtn.com. We appreciate you shopping local.
Are you ready to supercharge your nutrition and energize your day? Visit Mad Nutrition at 417 East Broad Street in Smithville, your go-to destination for premium protein shakes, protein-packed snacks, and energy teas with essential vitamins. Whether you're powering through a workout or just need a pick-me-up, Mad has got you covered. Swing by Mad Nutrition today and taste the difference quality nutrition can make. Fuel your body, fuel your life. Mad Nutrition, your recipe for success. Call in your order ahead of time or send via text message at 615-684-8586. That's 615-684-8586. Mad Nutrition. Big thanks to our sponsor, Button Willow Cafe. Be sure to stop by and see them Main Street, downtown Smithville. And a huge thanks to Stephen Cantrell for walking in off the street and becoming our first ever guest. Tony, I'm going to be honest to the people listening. This was just going to be a demo podcast. I think it's turned out to the point, especially with Stephen, we've got to put this out there.
We have got to. He set the bar high for sure. He was just such a good – just opened up that stuff I just didn't think he would, which was awesome.
There a lot of things, obviously, he can't talk about over the course of his career, and but a lot. There's more there. There's somebody we're going to have back.
Yeah, we got to do a part 2 for sure.
Yeah,
because we didn't get into the UFOs. We got to talk about the UFOs.
Got to talk about the UFOs. We got to know. Do you think he knows?
I think he knows.
He probably knows.
I think that's why he moves here.
Yeah, it may be. It may be. He may not be able to tell us, but we'll find a way to get him to tell us.
Yeah. Waterboard.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll leave it up to you. He seems like he might know people.
Yeah.
So, hey, everybody, we want to thank you for listening to our inaugural podcast of the T-Square Podcast. I guess we're going to go with that. T-Square.
I like it. It flows.
Yeah. T with a little 2 or maybe a little T with a big 2. I don't know. We'll figure all that out. We're going to have some contact info soon so you can correspond with us. Give us your feedback. Give us your ideas. Maybe some guest ideas. He's looking for very interesting people from all walks of life. We're not looking for any particular walk of life. There's so many interesting people all over the place.
Absolutely. And it's going to be very, very organic, just like today was. We're just going to see where the conversation takes us.
Exactly. And we'll figure it out along the way. For Tony Luna, I'm Tom Duggin for the T-Square Podcast. See ya next time.